the size of the camera, and boom, we do what we do. All right. I'll go to my channel. Alrighty. Let's do this because I am losing sleep and sanity thinking about this. Well, welcome everybody to the VoidCast episode 12. I am your host, Michael McCraven, the Void King, and before we continue on with this little, episode, I want to actually bring up what this is about. This ain't about, like, the usual shit, talking about some dumbass drama between creators, or, like, talking about some dipshit on the internet. This is actually going to be a little bit more of a sort of critique of a particular storyline within a game called Call of Duty Black Ops 4. Note, I am not an avid hater or fan of this game. However, I can basically critique a lot of the zombies aspect of it because I'm still kind of fucking confused about the whole thing. In essence, my confusion comes down to the chaos storyline of the zombies content for Black Ops 4. Now, many of you may not have played this game. Many of you probably played this game a fair bit, or just basically have a bare bones understanding of the game as shoot, or grab gun, point and shoot at zombie. Zombie gets killed and is dead. You get points. You go buy more weapons, and of course more ammo for other weapons. The main thing of contention in the zombies community is, of course, the story. Now, most of the COD Zombies fan base knows of the Aether storyline, or nowadays the Dark Aether storyline. One little side hustle of the Treyarch devs was, of course, the Chaos storyline. Now, the Chaos storyline has 4 main characters in most of the maps except for one. Starting off with Scarlet Rhodes. This episode, this is going to have to be divided into certain parts, or like maybe like a full-blown like timestamps for different characters and shit. However, let us start with the first character, Scarlet Rhodes, the sort of a female protagonist type shit. With Scarlet, I can deduce a few things from face value from Voyage of Despair and 9. Really hates her father, or has some severe, pardon the joke, daddy issues. But outside of that, she's a relatively smart person. Also knows how to come up with a decent plan to steal the, what was it called? Sentinel artifact? Now, the Sentinel artifact is an interesting little doohickey that apparently requires a little fucking key thing, and it literally looks like a goddamn mirror. But it also delves into the realm of Greek mythology, or basically Greek mythology, Egyptian mythology, Celtic mythology, and Norse mythology. Now, with the Norse mythology, with the centered around the mythologies, so to speak, you'll end up with a deluge of different things. You'll have my personal favorite, the Norse mythology. I'm a massive Norse mythology buff. You could ask anybody. I love talking shit about a lot of different religions or pre Christianity religions as well. I also I also tend to despise a lot of what Christianity does, or the extreme side of each belief. I do not, however, delve into the realm of outright lying about the different religions and shit. There are some good, there are some bad things. However, back to the point. With Scarlet, you get from the first moment you see her in Voyage of Despair up to 9, somebody who is really over it, just doesn't like this whole thing, and is really like hell bent on saving her dad so he could basically answer for what the fuck's going on. Being kidnapped by a cult called the Order of the Nine, so to speak. Yes, a lot of Destiny vibes coming from that one. Then 9, she gets no more character development. Her character development comes all the way at like the damn near end, but we don't get her backstory up until much later with the drop of Dead of the Night. Dead of the Night. Oh boy, this if there's one map that drives me absolutely batshit insane, it is Dead of the Night, because it should have been a launch map, and it should have been a launch map either with Voyage of Despair, or better yet, release fucking Dead of the Night and Voyage of Despair as launch maps alongside Blood of the Dead, and then later on classified for the Aether storyline. Which, again, I bring up this complaint, and many zombie YouTuber has brought up this point. You may also notice that I am not exactly of the type that's like very loving towards the COD YouTuber community, because of my problems with the idea of bitching and complaining about a game, then going to buy the next game because I'm so hyped. It's also just a never-ending cycle of stupidity that I do not even want to partake in. Back to the subject. She only gets little tidbits of character development on Dead of the Night. Dead of the Night is basically treated like the Borderlands pre-sequel in a sense, but a little bit more fun. In that, you play not as the 4 main protagonists: Scarlet Rhodes, Diego Nicali, Bruno Delacroix. I fucking can't speak French for my life. Sorry about that, Frenchies, if I did butcher that, or Zombies community, if I managed to fucking butcher that, my apologies. Then you've got, of course, the old man, the hermit of sorts, fucking Stanton Shaw. What the hell? Anyways, back to Scarlet. Now, she does get a little bit of a hint into her backstory with Dead of the Night. Once you basically beat the Easter egg and shit like that, but at the start of the map, you find out that Alistair Rhodes was kidnapped by this order. However, it was under the guise of a fucking party. Now, of course, I'm wondering, how the hell the characters within that particular map, how'd they survive getting turned into how'd they survive the entire house getting turned into zombies, unless it was like the because in Voyage of Despair and 9, there was a circle in which protected you from being turned into zombies. Well, at least in Voyage of Despair. 9, it was just basically a rune in certain rooms that caused there to actually be survivors, as well as the people in the rafters raising a massive fuss and tossing you gifts if you get your affiliation, or basically your ratings up, in a sense. With that, though, it also brings forth a lot more questions when it comes to the newer maps, because it's just like you see the Sentinel artifact only be used once, or twice, better yet, or 3 times. I don't remember. Never seen the Dead of the Night sort of fandangle there, but it's perfectly fine. Back to the point. With this sort of, dare I say, character development, because I'm pretty sure backstory counts as some form of character development or starting point, but we don't get much more out of that except for, oh shit, my dad's being kidnapped. I hate my dad. Wondering why my dad was obsessed with this cult, or these artifacts, or prima materia, or stuff like that, right? We don't get nothing else. That's my main criticism of Scarlet, is we don't get any further look into her backstory, because Treyarch either A, thought it wasn't necessary to flesh out characters by giving them a proper starting point, or, the people behind Chaos were like, oh yeah, we could let's just throw shit at a wall and see what sticks. Unlike with Aether, where they actually planned out a proper fucking timeline of events that happened, even if it is a fumbled spaghetti mess of whatever the fuck happens. Then, of course, there's Scarlet's actual big main character development in the map afterwards, which still doesn't make chronological sense, known as Ancient Evil. Ancient Evil takes place in the city of Delphi, or at least the actual city of Delphi, not the one that's a red herring. Deep within a cave system, with waterfalls and everything. And then the minute you peek behind the waterfall, you see a gigantic snake lady. Hi, Medusa. Wait, actually, shit, fuck. Point is, her character development comes in a little too late. Because now she's actually believing the shit her dad told her. Her dad keeps telling her stories and all this other shit. You see subtle hints to her backstory in each map and in the maps she's actually in. We also know that the storyline has something to do with Alistair Rhodes, and every map has somebody at least semi-affiliated with him. Most are more legitimate, like for, say, the Brigadier General in Dead of the Night to his butler. Others are a little bit more shady. Mainly, Weird Fortune Teller Lady and Weird Texan. I can't remember the names off the top of my head. I think it was Gideon Jones. Yeah, Gideon. I'll just call him Gideon. Fuck off in the thing, trying to remember. But and then the weird fortune teller lady. I can't remember her name either. Whew. Talk about forgettable. Anyways, to the crew that Scarlet has to work with. Diego Nicali, famed storyteller, and I'm pretty sure a liar about most of the highly either A, exaggerate, or B, lie about half the shit he's done. Then there's, of course, Stenton Shaw. A semi-failed alchemist? The guy behind the whole, what was it called? Elixir system. Yeah, you could blame him for the foul-tasting potions, by the way. To also, oh god, Bruno. Bruno was a part of a French mafia, or La Légion, as he constantly says. Big burly dude too. Really can pack a punch if you get my joke, but if you don't mind the slight pun intended. But each person he's worked with are either legitimate, like, or part of his family, like his daughter Scarlet Rhodes. Okay, Brigadier General, I forgot his name, to his butler, which I can't remember his name either. I gotta play through Dead of the Night again in order to remember these names, but point is, he tends to have this weird balance of having legitimate people that are either real good friends or family that you can depend on. Also having people that may have had a pretty flaky fucking past that can get you out of a sticky situation later. We then end up with the ending of Ancient Evil, which then ends up with Scarlet Rhodes getting put to sleep by Medusa instead of being turned to stone like her father. Now, of course, then you've got the other characters I want to really critique in this sort of VoidCast episode is, of course, everybody's favorite Spanish man known as Diego Nicali, or Nicali, whatever. Diego Nicali, which I'll explain why I don't really particularly care for him. It's not like he's, it's not like he's quirky and shit, and therefore I care about the character and don't really care about the whole storyline of the said character or the explanation behind it. Like Stanton Shaw, his quirkiness is mainly he has a fancy fucking way with the ladies. Now, of course, the ladies in question just so happen to be... Hold up, I gotta fucking promote this shit. Give me a second. Oh, fuck. Just give me a minute. Now, which other servers can I promote this in? Fuck it. Okay, back to where I was. Okay, so I was on Diego Nicali and my critiques of him. Okay, let's get back to the point. See, with Diego Nicali, he's more of basically what you would normally consider the typical, Spanish womanizer sort of trope. And it's my critiques don't have to do with that. It's more of his sort of how can I put this in a light sense? The way he acts, or tells these grandiose stories of adventure, action, excitement. God, it sounds like a Hollywood director. Ugh! But outside of that little critique, he tends to go on about a lot of things, like uh, starting a revolution over in his home country. I don't know what country he came from. Um, all I know is he's Spanish, so it could be either he could be Mexican, he could be from Spain, actual Spanish. He could be from Brazil, other South American countries. He could be from Puerto Rico. He could be from frickin' Cuba. I don't know. I don't know. Um, but outside of that, he's known for telling these grandiose stories and having a way with the frickin' ladies. Like, he is Andrew Tate before Andrew Tate was a thing. And at a time where that was a little bit more acceptable. And here's the thing. He didn't outright do what Andrew Tate does. He doesn't straight up say, "Oh, I want to be a high value male." No, the man's already high value male enough. He's already high enough in that fucking skill tree. He's also got the charisma to boot. But when we see him in Voyage of Despair, I didn't know much about the character. I didn't even have as much of a deep dive into his character. He's also really hesitant to talk about Scarlet because, let's face it, the minute he looks into Scarlet's direction, that's immediately when Scarlet says, "You look at me like that again, I will beat the shit out of you. I will clean your clock," so to speak. Now, with that, Diego does sort of fit the typical sort of Spanish gentleman that he is. Bruno. Then there's, of course, 9. Man really takes to the whole gladiator arena type thing like a WWE wrestler taking to WrestleMania type shit. Where he's like, "Oh, I was built for this." No, the fuck you weren't. I'm sorry, if you were in a gladiator coliseum with a bunch of zombies and having guns instead of the typical scabbard and shit like that, you would probably not just feel like home. You probably would sit there and be like, "Yeah, I feel like I'm at home." Motherfucker, you'd be dead in a fucking heartbeat if you were not even trying to be serious. If you were treating this as just an act. Anyways, and this is also a time where I'm going to bring up the little quirky quip that Scarlet has in 9, which is I wonder who would feel most at home with all this happening. Diego or Bruno? Probably Shaw. Shaw, I wouldn't see him at all getting used to this. I mean, yes, he's a nutter to begin with, but that doesn't exactly mean he's going to feel home in a murderous arena filled to the brim with zombies, Blightfathers, and zombified gladiators and undead tigers. Yeah, because that's all we need. As if and in the words of Edward Richtofen, as if the legions of the bipedal undead weren't enough. Now, with 9, I've had my problems with a lot of things. Particularly pertaining to, of course, why the hell they ended up in a gladiator arena instead of just, some hallucinations. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm gonna say this. Anything that has to do with Chaos storyline that doesn't explicitly deal with the guns and how the fuck you can get guns in from the future and all this other shit. I've practically had that same bitch and complaint about Aether Zombies. The Aether storyline and shit. Because we go from Black Ops 1 where we have stuff from a relatively not too distant future, or World at War, where we had guns from, the freaking proper timeline, to Black Ops 2, where it's still a little bit off that's the zombie crew's timeline. But then again, you're also dealing with people that probably were 80s or 90s-ish. Or probably I don't know when the Green Mile was actually a thing. Or what time period the Green Mile would be considered as such. I'm going to go off the deep end and say, fuck it. It was probably 2025 or something like that, where we're dealing with things like fucking Broken Arrow and shit like that. Personally, I don't know. Then you've got Black Ops 3, where it's oh god, now we're dealing with the weird weapons. Then we got, of course, Black Ops 4. A little bit of Black Ops 2 hint with a Black Ops 3 vibe. Where I'm still wondering who the fuck was taking the crack cocaine today. But no. That's just... And I've already accepted that as Call of Duty Zombies stereotype number 526. Where everybody's guns just seem to be from different time periods and shit. And I could not be bothered to give a shit. Then you've got Black Ops Cold War. Still, it's in a new storyline, and you don't have to deal with it as weird of weapons, but Omega Group being the dumbasses that they are, and Requiem also being the dumbasses that they are. Oh, let's make weapons from the Dark Aether. Fucking what? Like with this particular Zombies title, it was like, okay, it went a little less off the deep end in the Wackenade. Then you got games like World War II that sort of tried the Zombies formula, but it was a little bit more... Fuck, I'm getting off topic again. God! Change channel. Anyways. Back to my critiques of the characters in BO4 Chaos storyline. Fuck. Bruno Delacroix, the French brute, or in his technical case, this sort of fits that stereotype of the big buff Frenchman. Yeah, let's just call him Bruno. Yeah, that would make a hell of a lot of fucking sense, given the fact that he's French, got muscles the size of fucking a literal freaking PTR's 41 barrel. And make him be a natural-born killer with a constant love for just punching things. Wow, that describes Brick. What the fuck? So what is he, a French fucking brick? What the fuck? So what is he, a French fucking brick? Yeah, you know, I'm all for the oui baguette type shit, but it's just like, Bruno is confusing. And in a good way, not a bad way. Like the Aether storyline. It's confusing, but in a funny, fucking good way. Anyways, but yeah, my only complaint with Bruno is just like out of all the characters, like Scarlet getting the little amount of character, the least amount of small amount of character development, and a little bit of backstory, not enough though, and Diego with not enough backstory, and freaking Shaw without enough backstory. It's kind of the same thing with Bruno, but with Bruno, he gets no character development, he gets no little quirky one-off lines, and the only sort of thing we see out of Bruno is his literal freaking bromance with fucking Stanton Shaw. But overall, my main complaint is we didn't get much in the way of backstory with the Chaos crew, and what we did get was, oh hey, in the end, in the result of me being kidnapped, I may have a couple of friends that are going to be able to help you get me back. And I'll answer all your questions and shit like that. And, oh my god. Am I the only one that doesn't know much when it comes to what caused or started or like proceeded before the events of the Chaos storyline? Like you'd have to I don't know, maybe Treyarch could possibly bring a little bit more light to the thing, but I don't see that happening. And even if that were to have happened, I would not be very keen on figuring that out. It's just needlessly like chaotic in a sense. Fitting a little bit of a chaos pun back there. Fucking great. It just baffles the fucking mind. But anyways. But outside of that, it's just needless tripe shit. Personally, I couldn't even understand it, and while the game's fun, still nonetheless, it's just the little bit of a bummer that they didn't fully flesh out that storyline, right? Like, maybe send us to a fucking Frosty Villa in the next area, to where Scarlett's still practically knocked out, unconscious, and all this other shit. And then we introduce, like, a new character or something that wasn't killed off in Dead of the Night. Because in Dead of the Night, every character got fucking murked. Outside of that, that's my only real big complaint. Because me complaining about it tends to be a little bit annoying. So, I don't know. Maybe I'll just edit this into a more, given video. Or maybe I could just keep this as is and just keep it unedited and shit like that. Because, I don't know how long we've been going on for. Literal half hour. Anyways, but yeah, that's literally all I really am critical about. We don't have enough of backstory. We have a why, but it's not a fully fleshed out why. We didn't even get a fucking finale. We didn't even get a major finale to it. We only got what we got in Black Ops 4 and then completely fucking forgotten until fucking Vanguard. In which subtle hints about it being looped in with the frickin' Dark Aether storyline happened, and it's just... It's like with Chaos... The Chaos storyline is something we should have continued to see, be more fleshed out and shit, but due to both Activision and Treyarch wanting to drift away from it and decided to go with the Dark Aether storyline, it's whatever. We won't be able to see more fleshing out of the characters in the Chaos storyline or any new characters being added to it. Kind of like with Aether, where we got, we started off with Ultimus Richtofen, Dempsey, Nikolai, and Takeo, then ending up with Primus of the four, and this group in Black Ops 2 that was played through most of the fucking game, and a little bit in Black Ops 4, known as the Victus crew of Misty, Stollinger, Marlton, and of course the good old man himself, Russman. I don't know how you call Black Man Russman, but okay. I'm not gonna. It's like calling a black man Ruckus. Don't make damn bit of sense. But alright. I mean, not that naming him Tyrone or Tyrese would be a good idea either. I don't know. But, yeah. I think that's it for my, thoughts on it. I might just have this be like it's a video or some shit instead of a full-blown live stream. I don't know. Anyways. Auf Wiedersehen.